Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, and comic fans, you're with me, Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back, everybody. We're getting ready to start another countdown video. That's right, where I count down the worst comic of the week all the way to the best comic of the week. And if you guys haven't checked out Dark Avenger Inc., I've already put up a countdown video of villains books this week. So if you wanted to check that out, go ahead and check it out. Mike Super Superior Mike Spider Slayer Ultra over on Dark Avenger Inc. is doing his version of a countdown and counting down villains that he likes the most. So here I'm doing my favorite books overall of the week, and so let's get started, shall we? Because there's a lot of books. There's 17 books altogether this week that we're talking about. We have about 3 digital ones, and so let's just jump right into it, shall we? All right, here we go. Number 17. Batman The Dark Knight, issue 23.2. Mr. Freeze, number 1. Now, here we have Mr. Freeze pointing out his badass gun, getting ready to, freeze some people or whatnot. And, you know what? The cover looks pretty cool, but I thought the issue was kind of mediocre. You kind of want to find out more about these villains. Obviously, that's what this is for. So you can pick and choose your favorite villains and learn about them and whatnot. And in this story, you get to learn more about Mr. Freeze and what happened to him when he was a young child, what happened to his family. His father abandoned him, his mother fell in ice, and he pretty much spends the whole issue sending these letters to his family, supposedly, but the doctor never winds up sending these letters, and the whole thing blows up in Gotham or whatnot, where the city gets all destroyed and the jail cell gets all destroyed from the crime syndicate. So he gets to escape, and he winds up finding his father's new family, and winds up sitting them at the table, and he winds up replacing them as their father, so he could have his own family, and you get to see that at the end of the issue. This was, I don't know, this was a little bit under average. There was nothing here special, nothing memorable. We all know that he has great passion for his wife and he likes family and blah, blah, blah. But nothing here really attracted me to the character. And I wasn't really excited by the time I was all done and over with. Like, kind of made me want to say Mr. Freeze is kind of a wimpy villain, if I say so myself. So I'm giving this one a 2.5 out of 5. I really didn't dig the art that much either. The best thing about it was the cool cover, though. Alright, so there we go. That was number 17. Number 16 on this week's list is Green Lantern issue 23.2, otherwise known as Mongol issue number 1. And here in this story, we get to see Mongol and his, little bit of his origin tale. It wasn't too much of an origin. It's kind of like, this is what happens when you mess with Mongol. Because if you dare ask him to surrender against his little war world here, you're going to be paying the ultimate price. And that's what this admiral does in this particular issue. He actually threatens Mongol, and he takes a tour of his little war world and his little, spaceship, and gives him his history and tells him a little bit about himself. Like, he's interviewing him for a position at a job or something, saying, "Oh, let me tell you something, a little bit something about myself." I found there was a lot of things that related to Star Wars and stuff in this issue. Like, well, this kind of looks like Cybertron from Transformers, and then there were spaceships here that kind of look like from Star Trek, like the Enterprise there. And then these guys look like the little droids from Star Wars here. That's what that reminded me of. So I'm like, okay. And the artwork was alright here. Is kind of, I don't know, it's a little dark a little bit, but Mongol, I don't know, it's just not familiar with the Mongol that I've known from when I read like the Reign of Superman and stuff like that. And in the end, you find out that, you know what, don't double cross or don't ask a surrender for Mongol, because he's going to freaking mess with you hardcore. And he winds up having this whole trophy of heads and people that have crossed him over the years or whatnot. So this was an okay issue. It was alright. I didn't think it was the best. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It took me 3 times to get into this issue. Like, I wasn't in the right mind frame to be reading this particular issue because it starts off really slow, and by the end of it, it's okay. So 3 out of 5 for me. Next, number 15 on the list, we have Justice League issue 23.2, otherwise known as Lobo issue number 1. In this issue, on the cover, you see old school logo. Pretty badass logo, the Lobo we've always known and loved for the past God knows how many years. And when you open up this book, well, you're introduced to the new Lobo. And he's kind of got this, I guess that singer Adam Lampert, that's what he reminds me of from like American Idol, if you guys know who he is. He's got this preppy boy type of look to him. He's kind of, you know, when you look at him, you're like, what can this guy do? But when you screw with him, this is what can happen to you. This issue's artwork was okay. It was a little sketchy on my part. A lot of pin-up pages. Looked like it was like, oh, let's do a character design and put it in this comic book. That's what they were really trying to show you here. Almost every other page is kind of like a splash page. Huge panels in here. Really little, very little dialogue. Not much story at all. You have Lobo coming across some creatures. He has to drop off this precious cargo. And we see the life of being a bounty hunter. And that's what you get to see here. And by the end of the issue, you find out that the Lobo that we've all read for years and years, well, you basically got to see him be an imposter. So the Lobo that we see in the new 52 is the Lobo that we're all supposed to know and love. And the old one is the one we're supposed to hate. So what happens in this book? Well, what's going to happen for the future of Lobo? Not quite sure here. It'll be interesting to see if these two kind of battle it out, to see if they meet each other. Does Lobo get his own series? I might want to be interested in seeing that particular book and what happens between the two characters. So interesting stuff. I'm giving this one a 3.5 out of 5. The last bit of it saved it for me. Next, we have number 14. It's a digital review, so let me bring it up here for a second. And it is coming up right now. So number 14 on the list is Sidekick issue number 2. Now, the great thing about Sidekick in the last issue was a total surprise. You get to see the life of a sidekick. And the writer of this particular book, Straczynski, he's the one that sits there and he said as a kid he's always hated the sidekicks. He never wanted to be the sidekick. He wanted to be the villain. So when he writes this book, he's actually writing the demise of a sidekick's character. So in this issue, we get to see that he's trying to figure out what happened to his Captain Cowell, I think his name is, the death, and what happened to him and whatnot. And he goes back to this doctor and he finds out that, you know what, he goes back in time and he really lives Cowell's actual death or whatnot. And you get to see the pain that Flyboy is actually experiencing in the issue. He meets his old friend's girlfriend. He tries to actually make out with him, or he tries to make out with her, and things don't work out too well in the issue. And then by the time we end up at the end of the issue, we come across a new character here, and she's a female, which was on the cover of the book, and hopefully I can get to it. It's a little slow loading. We wind up getting to the end. Just give me 1 second. That's what I hate about this digital stuff. We get to her right here, and her name I think is Julia, and she winds up seducing him, as you can see here. She winds up seducing Flyboy. They wind up, I guess, doing it. And this is the way she gets her power. She uses the power from him, and she's trying to make him forget, which is interesting here. Tries to make him forget, and when the time is right, she's going to make him remember everything that has happened. So this was all right. This wasn't like all jaw dropping like the first issue was, but it was an interesting story, and you get to see kind of like a new beginning for Flyboy and see what actually happens to him. So it was all right, and I'm still going to be reading the series. I found it very interesting, and I gave this one I think it was a 3.5 out of 5. 3.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah. All right. So next we have number 13, which is Batman issue 23.2, The Riddler #1. Here you get to see Riddler on the cover. You got his little staff there. You got Batman all chained up. And this was an interesting issue. You get to see Edward Nygma actually go into Wayne Enterprises, and he obviously has this whole thing planned. And throughout the whole issue, he's sitting there doing his little riddle, and we can see that the security officer here sees that he has made his breach into Wayne Enterprises, and the whole time you get to see the Riddler going across, his obstacles, the people that he's going across, like other officers, other people of the company, until he gets to the point, to the top of the actual chain, and until he accomplishes what he needs to do, which the ending was very interesting, very gory, very bloody, which I kind of liked. And then at the end of the issue, it winds up tying into Batman 0 Year. So you get to see that, which was interesting. The book's artwork wasn't my favorite art in here. Again, I like a lot more detail, not so much sketch. But the story was interesting, and you get to see a lot of Riddler's riddles. And if you like that, if you like the Riddler, you love that dialogue from him. So this was a good book. It wasn't my favorite villains book of the week, just because I'm really not a huge Riddler fan. There's certain villains that I like from Batman, and there's certain other ones that I don't like. I think he's cool, but there's a lot other better villains there. So I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next, number 12 is Superman Action Comics issue 23.2, otherwise known as Zod #1. Here we got the cover with Zod using his heat vision, just torching it up, saying Zod #1, and Superman in some weird brace chain or whatever. Not the most exciting cover. It's still cool, but it's not like the best one out there. This actual issue had to do with the childhood of Zod. You get to see him messing with creatures or whatnot. Greg Pak was the one who actually wrote this book, and the art is done by Ken Lashley. The artwork in the book is phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. However, it is very busy and rich in color, where you might lose certain element of the book. However, it was a fun read. You get to see how Zod created this war between the Kryptonians and the Char, and he committed treason, and he winds up getting sent to the Phantom Zone. So that's how you see kind of like this origin tale to Zod. Again, I truly enjoyed the artwork. The story surprised me a little bit because I'm not a huge Superman fan, but there was a great story here, and I got to learn a little bit more about Zod, and that's what I got out of it. So I'm going to give this book a 3.5 out of 5 as well, and that was number 12 on the list. Next, we have, I'm going to have to get it. Yes, next is another digital review, and the next review is here. Just give me 1 second, I'll let it load. It's from Dark Horse, and this one is it's coming right now. Star Wars issue number 9, Princess Without a Planet. That's right. Didn't buy this actual issue this month just for the fact being that I have so many other comics that I'm buying. I had to read this one digitally. But in this issue, you get to see Princess Leia go aboard Clone Wars Clone Wars ship, and she finds that there's a person on there that's from Alderaan, and we get to see this character right here, which was interesting. And he collects all the pieces from Alderaan and things. He makes his stops and kind of makes this history of Alderaan. But as he walks away and tries to get some tea, we find out that he's really an Imperial, and he worked on the original Death Star, and he created the actual laser on the Death Star that destroyed Alderaan, which was really interesting to see. And at the end of it all, at the end of his part, you get to see Princess Leia here with the gun, pointing the gun at him. And we don't know if she actually shoots him or not. In the other part of the issue, you get to see Boba Fett and Bossk go after Han Solo and Chewie and Chewbacca. The artwork is always really great in this particular series. I truly enjoy reading and looking at this book. And then you get to see the continuing of Wedge Antilles and Luke Skywalker try to put this communications thing in the Star Destroyer. This book has lots of action. Again, great artwork. If you like Luke Skywalker and the classic characters, you're going to enjoy this book. Again, was it like the best book of the week? No, but it was still a really fun read, and I'm giving this one a 3.5 out of 5, and that was number 11 on the list. So next, we get to number 10, top 10, and that is Kick-Ass 3, issue number 3. And here we get to see Hit Girl on the cover, and we get to see the inmates in the cover. And in this issue, you get to see Hit Girl, but for a little bit. And what I wanted in this issue is I wanted Hit Girl in the entire issue, because I miss her. I haven't seen her in a couple issues. She's been in a page. That was about it. And in this book, she's in the book probably about 5 pages, and you get to witness what she's like in the prison. And she's kind of in charge here in the prison. She's smoking and she's drinking and she's telling people not to do heroin, and if not, they're gonna get killed. Also, you get to see a love interest here between Dave and oh man, what was her name? Valerie. Valerie. You get to see a love interest. You get to see where she and Dave's relationship is going. Again, you get to see Hit Girl for one more page, and that's what happens if you cross her in jail. You're going to wind up dead. The artwork, what can I say? It's John Romita Jr. It fits Kick-Ass because that's all we know Kick-Ass to be drawn by. So that's why it fits. But they got this whole plan on trying to stop Red Mist's, uncle and the mobsters and whatnot. And then by the end of the issue, you just get to see not a very cliffhanger type of ending. My issue with this particular book is that I miss the two characters together. I miss Hit Girl and I miss Dave, Kick-Ass's, relationship between each other, how they work together. I want Hit Girl back in that costume. I want to see some more gore. I want to see some more cursing. I want to see more of what Kick-Ass usually has to offer. So that's why this wound up getting number 10. As much as it was great to see Hit Girl back, it's not where the series should be like it was when it was Kick-Ass 1 or Kick-Ass 2. So that is number 10. So number 9 on this week's list is Batman and Robin, issue number 23.2. This is Court of the Owls, issue number 1. I've said this before. I love the cover here. It has that creepy, eerie type of book. That's what you get when you see people wearing strange masks like that. And when you open up the book, you get more of the same thing. You get a lot of darkness, a lot of creepy, eerie, rainy type of scene. You can see that. It takes place in the 70s. Kind of reminded me here, the character looks like a Farrah Fawcett type of character. It almost reminded me of The Exorcist, because you got this creepy little kid that's saying a rhyme that the Court of Owls say, and it's just eerie. And what this book has to do about is you get to see that the crime syndicate has actually taken over Gotham, and now they have to go to the court to try to get things straight. And they've always been able to fix things, and that's when they're in danger, they use their talents. So you get to see the different Talons over the years in the issue, which is this is interesting. You get to see Talon from the 70s. You get to see a Talon from, I guess, 1838. And again, anytime that Gotham is in danger, you see a Talon popping up. So you get to see the Talons and things like that from the different times, and they go back way back in time, way back from when old Gotham was around. And by the time you get to the end of the issue, you wind up coming across that there's a Talon that's been in captivity, I guess, forever, and he's the one that's supposed to save everything. So it left you on a real cliffhanger. Again, there's this eerie artwork, which I loved. It was just creepy. And for some reason, this attracted me to get to buy the next issue of Talon, to find out what happens here. So, you know, DC did a ploy here. They said, well, let's get them interested in reading Talon, because maybe the sales are low, and this might drive that. And you know what? It worked on me, at least, and I liked the issue. I thought it was a solid issue, and I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. I enjoyed it. So, kind of under the radar for me. Next is number 8. Avengers Arena, issue number 15. This was a solid issue too. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. This has a lot to do with anchorism. You know, how close he is with Bloodstone, because he's faced to make a huge decision here on to actually kill Bloodstone, who has become this crazy-ass creature that's stuck in his nightmare. And that's what happens. But he was forced to become this creature to stop X-23, because she was killing everybody in the island because she had this, what was it called, this mist or whatever, that trigger scent. That's what it's called. It's called a trigger scent, that she would kill everyone in the island. So Bloodstone, you know, stepped up and basically winds up trying to go after X-23. In this issue, you get to see a little bit more of Nara and where she comes from. And she actually was part of the Royal Guard for Namor. And you get to see that here with their little flashbacks. Again, I love their flashbacks because it changes the art style. It has this thing like you're digging deep into the past. And by the end of this issue, you get to see a character die, and again, and it's just, it's sad. It's how all these characters get killed off, but it's not an act of greed, which you would think would happen in the series because they're all pitted against each other, but they're all really trying to help each other in a way, and they wind up sacrificing themselves. And that's what makes this story so good. It has such great character development, and it's not like, I'm going to shoot you and you're going to die. It's, they're dying for other reasons. And when this book ends and we're introduced to the next chapter, whatever it is, then I will be reading that too. Dennis Hopeless will be writing the next series that has to do with these characters, so I will be picking that up. But otherwise, this is a great book, great read, and I'm giving Avengers Arena a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next, number 7. Reverse Flash issue 23.2, or Flash 23.2, otherwise known as Reverse Flash. This is a great villain book. It had a nice cover on here. This got a little bit lower on my list because there was other books out there that surprised me. This issue, I knew kind of what was going to happen. You knew that you were going to already get the origin of Reverse Flash, so you know that. So how the story was told here was what made the book either great or not great. And this was a good book. This was solid. The regular artist on the book is not here. He tries to be a copy, which, okay, I get it, you know, so we're going to put the next best thing in here. But you get to see the history of Daniel West and the Reverse Flash. You get to see that. You get to see how his father was very abusive. And you get to see, again, the origin here on how Daniel became the Reverse Flash. And he winds up getting bonded to like metal or whatnot, and that's what he uses to actually kind of to, I guess, manipulate or kind of, I'm trying to look for the word, I can't think of it, to intimidate his opponents. So once again, you see that origin, you get to see his backstory, you get to see the interaction with him and Iris and their relationship, and it was a good issue. It was solid. His father was a real asshole in this issue, and it's just like, man, he should be the villain in here. But you get to see what happens, what Daniel does. And again, it was cool, and the ending leaves a good cliffhanger here. So I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4. It was actually a solid book. It just wasn't like I knew what was kind of happening here. So that's why it got number 7 on this week's countdown. Next, number 6. X-Men issue number 5, otherwise known as Battle of the Atom, Chapter 3. This was a solid book as well. It wasn't like all surprising like the first 2 issues, because the first 2 issues were introducing all these new characters. So you were kind of like, oh wow, this is really cool. This is awesome. These characters are neat from the future and from the past and everything else. And you're trying to figure out who's who. And in this issue, it really starts kind of in a way the story and the journey of where this is going. And you get to see Jean Grey and Cyclops here, run away from their teammates. You get to see who's behind that mask, which is Jean Grey from the future and how her powers have grown. The artwork is not nearly as good in here, but you get to see that relationship between Jean and Cyclops actually growing again. So you wind up saying no matter what time that they're in, they're kind of building that relationship right now. But the entire issue wound up kind of with the X-Men chasing Jean Grey and Scott, which wasn't the most entertaining thing, but a lot of the dialogue in this book between Kitty Pryde and Rachel Grey were nice. It kind of had just like that everyday dialogue where just 2 people are sitting at home watching TV eating Chinese food, which is pretty interesting. But in the end of it all, you get to see what Jean and Cyclops plan to do, and they plan on meeting up with your Uncanny X-Men. So it'll be really cool to see what happens and how this turns out. I just hope that it doesn't drag out. I hope that the story continues to be fresh, and they make great, they continue this event to be great, and to see how the ramifications happen will be awesome too. So let's hope it just keeps on that same path. And I gave this one a 4 out of 5 as well. So next we have number 5. Top 5, Aquaman issue 23.1, otherwise known this week as Black Manta number 1. Cover here is pretty awesome. Love the cover with Black Manta on there. He's just got that dark look to him. He really brings out that evil thing here. This book starts off in Belle Reve prison. We get to see Amanda Waller winds up trying to recruit our character here to be on the Suicide Squad. And he's like, I don't want anything to do with the Suicide Squad. Crime Syndicate takes over the prison, and all of a sudden all the villains are loose. And we get to see Black Manta here going to the Crime Syndicate, wondering, well, what's this all about? What's happening here? And he finds out that, you know what, the Justice League is dead. He winds up getting Aquaman's trident, and he's just like, well, you know what, I don't know if I want to be a part of this. So he walks away. The great thing about this book is seeing Black Manta's perspective on everything that's happening with the Crime Syndicate. I love that, because it flashes back to that guy that winds up getting killed, and you get to see his, the way he looks at things. And then he breaks away from everything, and he winds up going to see his father's gravesite. And he says, you know what, Aquaman's dead. I'm finally at peace. And the next thing you see is that Ultraman winds up moving the moon because he's got to block the sun, because that's his weakness. The sun is his weakness. It creates this huge tidal wave, and things don't happen the way they should here, and it creates this rage against the Crime Syndicate. So Black Manta is going to be after the Crime Syndicate, and it's going to be continuing in Forever Evil. So this was a great book. This totally surprised me. I had a feeling, though, that this was kind of be good, because Jeff Johns writing it. He's writing Forever Evil, and you got to saw in Forever Evil #1, Amanda Waller going to him there. So it kind of made you feel that this was going to tie into that. And the way it was tied in, it was really good. So I like it. I like how it's folding out. So I like this issue. Artwork could have been a little bit more detailed. However, I enjoyed it, and I'm giving this one a 4.5 out of 5. So, number 4 is Justice League of America, issue 7.2, Killer Frost, number 1. Now, it's not number 1 on my list this week. However, it did get a perfect score. Because the book, the way it was done, it was very well written. And this is the way villains books should be. And also, this is a one-shot in the same sense, too. So it's kind of like, well, when are we going to see Killer Frost again? But the way this book is, it was just so much fun. The narration in the beginning was great. You get to see Curtis Snow is her name, or Caitlin Snow. Caitlin Snow, I'm sorry. Caitlin Snow, she starts off with this narration, how it is to be, how you get hypothermia. And that's how the old doctor died. You know, she died of hypothermia. But you get to see her arrival here in the Antarctic base. And she has to continue this doctor's doctor's work for energy consumption or whatnot. And her co-workers are part of Hive, and no one can succeed at completing this actual experiment or machine. So her co-workers wind up setting her up, and she winds up becoming Killer Frost. And you're just like, damn. But the twist about Killer Frost is that she's not evil. She's not a villain by nature or anything like that. She's just, all she wants to do is be human because she hungers for warmth. And she's always so cold all the time. So when she touches somebody or kisses somebody, she automatically like freezes them, put them in hypothermia, and gets their warmth. And that's how she feels like a human soul again. Also in the issue, you find out that Firestorm is the answer to her prayers of becoming human again. So she is obviously going to go after Firestorm. But with the crime syndicate around, Firestorm is no more. He's supposedly dead. And she gets pissed off, and she's just like, what am I going to do? Am I going to die an empty person now? And that's how this issue ends. This book was so great because, again, it dug deep into a character and made you feel bad for her situation. She's a villain because of this. It wasn't her fault. People made her this way. But she doesn't really hold it against anybody except Firestorm, really, because she wants his power. And she's a very smart character, and it'll be interesting to see where she unfolds in this universe in the future. So I truly enjoyed it, and it's a great story for people to read, a great villains book, and I gave this one a 5 out of 5. But however, it was number 4 on the list because there's other books out there that I thought the story were even better. So here we go. Top 3, number 3. The Walking Dead issue number 114. This is it. This is the conclusion of this story arc that leads into All Out War. This is an excellent book. This story I thought was a little drawn out. However, it finally got to a point now where shit's going to hit the fan hardcore. And in this issue, Negan is in control again. I mean, Rick is at his mercy. He tried killing Negan, and he's going to pay the ultimate price here. And as you know, and what happens is Negan's about to kill somebody with Lucille once again. But then what happens is Jesus comes along and saves the day. And I said this in my in-depth review that if there was anybody to be in charge of this group, it would be Jesus. He just can kick some serious ass. He may not be the natural leader, but he is a serious ass kicker. And what Jesus reminds me of in the comic book series reminds me of Daryl in the TV series. He's a great enforcer. Really, he's like the general in a war, which is really awesome. But by the end of this issue, we see that Rick finds out that Andrea is alive because he thought she died. And we find out that Negan is super pissed off now that Rick is against him, and he just says, you know what? This is an all-out war. And he says it in some funny-ass way, which is hysterical. Another great dialogue here is between Jesus and Rick, when they're talking between each other, and Jesus is saying, you're a natural leader, and you're the one that's going to bring this world back to the way it was before. That's some heavy words. So great book here. Cannot wait to next month's issue, and then Walking Dead will be out twice a month, for 6 months they'll be doing with this all-out war. And this was a great book as well, even though it was number 3. I didn't give it as high as a grade because, again, this was kind of drawn out, not much action throughout the whole thing. So I'm giving it a 4.5. However, the story is still good. So, just because it's not a 5-star doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the story more than the other one. So that is my reasoning behind it. Next, number 2. And this book came out, and it's digital, and I came out last week, and I couldn't get it. I couldn't find it for some reason. So let me find it here. It's coming up right now, so deal with me here for a second. I apologize. Number 2 on this week's list is from Dark Horse, the Star Wars issue number 1. This book was so good. I love this. This is based off of the original screenplay off of George Lucas back in 1974, before Star Wars hit the theaters. And this has so many different elements into it. It's like the same story, but it's like twisted. And the great thing about this particular issue is that you get to see Anakin Starkiller, which is the kid here, which is I'm trying to remember. Luke Skywalker is like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Anakin Starkiller is not Darth Vader. And then you get to see his father, which is, his name is Starkiller as well, and I forgot the guy's name. But he is the Darth Vader, I guess, in a way. He's a good guy. It's confusing. You gotta kind of read it, but once you read it, you'll understand everything that there is to know about the particular issue. It's got great artwork. The issue has to do with the empire, that empire of that world, going after this system so they can control it. And we get to see the Darth Vader in this world. I really wish I had a hard copy of this so I could show it to you better. But this is Darth Vader in this world right here. He's got no helmet or anything like this. He's not Anakin. It's just really great stuff. And again, Luke Skywalker is like Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's Luke Skywalker right there. So he's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi. Looks like George Lucas. I thought it was hysterical how the artist did that. And you get to see in this issue Luke Skywalker and Kane Starkiller is his name, actually reunite. So Kane Starkiller is Anakin's father. Luke Skywalker is like Obi-Wan, and they wind up meeting together. And Luke Skywalker winds up going, well, why can't you train your son as a Jedi? And because he wants to hand over his son to train with Luke, because he feels that he can't train his son anymore. And he finds out, he goes, I'm just a head and I'm just an arm. And you find out that he is the machine. Like, he is like the original Darth Vader, but he's a good guy. It's so messed up. And you're just like, oh, man, that's crazy. So, and then in the next issue, it winds up leaving you with the cliffhanger that the Empire strikes. And they're going to strike that planet that they want to take over. So, really great stuff here. This is an interesting book. Again, to really understand everything, I can't kind of explain it to you because you get confused. You will have to read it for yourself, but if you can get a copy, it's very interesting to see what the original tale, the story was of Star Wars before it became a movie. So this was a fantastic read. Really liked it. Gave it a 4.5. The only reason why I didn't give it a 5 was because of that little aspect of it being confusing, where you might have to read a couple of things here and there. But great issue here, guys. Check this one out if you can. I'll be getting issue 2. So the number 1 book of the week is Batman Detective Comics issue 23.2, otherwise known as Harley Quinn issue number 1. If you guys want to see a in-depth review on this, go to Dark Avenger Inc, where I did my own individual review there. You can go check that out. Now, this book was phenomenal. This book really, the narration by Harley is phenomenal. I love the artwork here. I think the artwork fits the book. Maybe people may not agree with me on this, but I feel that the facial expressions and the way she was drawn, I think really, kind of fit the character here. And the facial expressions just, I don't know, kind of make her. Reminds me of the animated series. There's phrases that she says that reminds me of the animated series. It really goes deep into her, her thinking, her thought process about how everything is inside a box, in another box. I loved how she, again, tries to get the Joker's attention by having kids buy these things that are like Game Boys and plants bombs all over the place. And it just makes you want to love her. Even though she's so sick and twisted, you just got to love the personality on Harley Quinn. And this gives you hope for the Harley Quinn solo series. I'm truly anxiously awaiting this. What's going to happen in that solo series. And I like the ending of this because it also ties into the Suicide Squad issue number 24, just like Deadshot did. So it looks like these two are going to be working together to, I guess, try to stop Forever Evil. So this was a fun book. I really like getting inside the head of Harley Quinn, and I really enjoyed the artwork here. And it was a fun read. I really enjoyed it. Some other books are just kind of like, well, this really dug deep into her, made you really like her. You get to learn about where she got the outfit, just added to the book. They didn't have to do that. But when Harley changed her costume in the New 52, everyone was like, why'd she change her outfit? Why'd you change this? Why couldn't you keep her the same? And it was funny. They just kind of like almost jabbed at people and said, well, this is how she got it. If you don't like it, tough. So I kind of like that. So this got number 1 on this week's countdown. So there you have it, guys. You saw the worst. You saw the best. You give me your comments below. What was your favorite book of the week? And what was your worst book of the week? And I hope you enjoyed this week's countdown. And as always, guys, until the next comic book review, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. And I'll see you real soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.